I heard you were smart, but I didn't know.
I'm not.
Yeah, sure.
Don't let me fool you, I'm not.
When you think of blondes, what comes to mind? This? Or this? Maybe this? You get the idea. There's a stereotype that has permeated film and our everyday lives. The blondes have more fun, but often at the expense of their intelligence.
Wait.
They're often perceived as annoying, naive, or just plain stupid. While studies have shown that blondes are not actually less intelligent than anyone else, the myth has remained, so we see the same characters and the same jokes repeated over and over again. Now this stereotype does carry for both genders. There are plenty of men in media who are shown to get by on their looks rather than their brains.
Do I know what I'm doing today? No. But I'm here and I'm going to give it my best shot.
But for this video, I'm going to be focusing on women. In particular, Cher Horowitz from Clueless and Elle Woods from Legally Blonde. First though, let's do a quick history lesson on blonde cliches. The first famous dumb blonde was believed to be a French courtesan in the 1770s named Mademoiselle Rosalie Duthay. A beautiful blonde who was rumoured to be so incapable of holding a conversation, people assumed her to be literally dumb.
Oh, that was way harsh, Ty.
From there, the myth that blondes were blessed with beauty over intelligence grew until the golden age of Hollywood bloomed in the 1930s and propelled stars like Marilyn Monroe and Jane Mansfield into the limelight. Many of the Hollywood starlets at this time were extremely bright. Mansfield herself could speak 5 languages and was a talented musician. But they realised that playing into these blonde cliches, on and off camera, could benefit their careers. According to Annette Kuhn's book, The Woman's Companion to International Film, there are 3 types of blonde stereotypes in cinema. The stone-faced, ice-cold blonde. Think Grace Kelly, Kim Novak or Charlize Theron. There's the overtly sexual blonde bombshells like Diana Dawes and Pamela Anderson. And finally, the ditzy dumb blonde, from the early starlets like Mansfield to modern-day femmes like Tara Reid or most of the blondes in Three's Company. Whilst these are obviously sweeping generalisations, we'll discuss some exceptions later, it's interesting to know what they have in common. All 3 stereotypes hold negativity in some way. Like a blonde character has to be in some way promiscuous or simple or potentially unstable, not the most flattering associations. Even the seemingly less harmful misconceptions like loving the colour pink or excessively shopping can help bolster the idea that blondes are essentially vapid and vain. That's where Cher Horowitz and Elle Woods come in. These 2 women don't reject the stereotypes around them. In fact, they embrace them, while showing they have far more to offer than what people would assume at a glance. Both women seem on the surface to be Californian airheads. They're rich, they're daddy's girls, and they're both immensely popular at their schools. It's easy to try and label these characters by their outward appearances rather than their personal attributes. Let's look at Cher first. She spends the entire film trying to help other people. Sure, she may have orchestrated the romance between her teachers for her own benefit, but she clearly enjoys seeing other people happy. When Ty comes along, she isn't even thinking about herself, as she says to Dion,
Don't you want to use your popularity for a good cause?
It's sweet, especially coming from a 15-year-old girl in high school. In fact, there are multiple examples of Cher standing up for herself and her beliefs. She refuses to succumb to peer pressure regarding her virginity, she's forever trying to look after her father and make sure he's healthy, and she even rebuffs the most popular boy in school when he tries to take advantage of her. She's a strong figure for teenage girls who want to feel empowered in who they are. Does that sound like a dumb blonde? Cher is actually quite intelligent. Her vocabulary and references are vast and varied, at one point comparing her rival Amber to a Monet. She's just, well, clueless. Writer and director Amy Heckerling attested this sentiment. Quote, I didn't want her to be not intelligent. I wanted her to just not know what she didn't know yet. What teenage girl isn't guilty of being a little ignorant about the world? However, Cher is on a constant quest to better herself and to help the people she cares about. That speaks louder volumes about her character than her love of shopping. Overall, she steps outside the classic popular girl tropes and becomes a far more interesting character for it.
That takes care of our minds and bodies, but we should do something good for mankind or the planet for a couple of hours.
Now let's look at our next example. Delta Nu alumni and Harvard Law graduate Elle Woods. Initially a story of the typical sorority sister on a quest to win back her boyfriend by following him to law school, the film defies all expectations by the end to reveal the real romance between Elle and her belief in herself. She encounters repeated resistance. Her teachers, parents, friends and peers insist that she doesn't fit in at Harvard, and Warner outright tells her he doesn't think she's clever enough to succeed. But she soon finds law to be her calling and ultimately graduates top in her class. However, she doesn't feel the need to sacrifice elements of herself to achieve these goals. She still frequents the salon to pamper herself, takes her dog Bruiser pretty much everywhere with her, and donned her now iconic pink suit for her first big case. Elle may be a stereotypical blonde in many regards, but she's determined to prove that she's more than that. We can see this from the beginning when the shop assistant tries to scam her. She sees a woman who is blonde, so therefore assumes that she is stupid.
There's nothing I love more than a dumb blonde with daddy's plastic.
Elle's natural legal talent is already present in the way she handles the situation, letting the assistant know that blonde does not equate dumb. Elle radiates intellect and integrity, but her peers at Harvard dismiss her because her areas of knowledge seem trivial to them. But without her knowledge of fashion and hair care, they wouldn't have won the Wyndham case. When faced between being a sorority sister or a law student, Elle Woods showed everyone that you can choose both. Stereotypes can be useful in cinema to quickly present the type of person a character is. Furthermore, where there are stereotypes, there are opportunities to subvert them, which can help create compelling characters.
Okay, but street slang is an increasingly valid form of expression. Most of the feminine pronouns do have mocking, but not necessarily misogynistic undertone.
Clueless and Legally Blonde are a must-watch for any blonde who feels confined by the stereotypes often reinforced around them. It's not a question of avoiding stereotypes altogether, it's accepting them for what they are and finding who a person is outside of them. It's understanding that you can't judge a person solely based on their exterior characteristics. It's feeling confident that you can be anyone you want to be without generalizations. To quote Dolly Parton, "I'm not offended by all the dumb blonde jokes, because I know I'm not dumb, and I also know that I'm not blonde."